to commit to do the things that are going to help them. And then in return, they help us. Does that make sense? So I just wanted to hit on that before I get into this training. Segueing here. When I sit down with clients, my goal is to really help them in every area possible, and offer as many solutions as I possibly can, because that is how I keep my clients. One thing that I brag about all the time is that no one has ever left my investment book. My insurance book, yes, happens all the time, right? But my investment book, no one has ever left my investment book. That means that if you roll over money with me, it's never happened where someone said, hey, this isn't doing well, I'm moving my money to this other guy or girl or this other company. It's never happened before. Now, have people taken money out? Absolutely. People have emergencies. People are making big purchases. People are in retirement. I'm not talking about that kind of liquidation, but no one has ever left. Why? Because with my clients, they think of me more as just their insurance person. If you want your clients to be sticky, right? They stick to you. They got to be feeling more than he's just my insurance person. They can get insurance pretty much everywhere, but they're not going to get me everywhere. They're not going to get their college person, their debt person, their retirement person, their insurance person, their financial strategy person, their market person, right? I am all of that to my clients. So I take what we call holistic approach with my clients. They can call me for anything. I can help them with anything. If I can't help them, I'll find them someone who can help them with everything, right? So I want to show you some of the conversations that I have with my clients that you should be expecting to eventually get to a point to where you can talk about these things as well. I started with no experience. And by the way, many of the things that I learned here, I'll give credit where credit's due, but I also know what I was taught and what I took and learned on my own. 99% of the things that I know in these areas, I taught myself. I became the trainer for this organization, right? We didn't used to talk about products that much. I'm the one who learned it. Now there's people in the company, there's books and all that, but I taught myself and I taught a lot of other people as well. What I'm trying to tell you is that you can teach yourself, but even better, you have people that can now teach you, because all these guys know these things now, right? So let's talk about when I sit down with the client, these are some of the things that I go over with them and I tell them, okay? And look at how this stuff is worded. This is my mindset. It's not even a question. Term life insurance is superior to other types of life insurance. That's it. Think about that mindset. This is what I say to clients. Term life insurance is superior. It's not sometimes better or in certain situations or with some types of people. It is superior, right, to other types of life insurance. I actually showed these slides to a client the other day just to kind of experiment. I just wanted to see what would happen. And what I was doing was I was basically just putting everything out there and seeing what I got back, right? And I'll tell you what happened. Number 2, never rely on group or employer life. Never. It's never good. So what I tell people is, out of me sitting down with thousands of clients, these are the concerns that they have. These are the things that are my philosophies. These are the things that I tell my clients to do. This is the advice that I give. Never rely on group or employer life. Why? Because if you leave the job, it doesn't follow you. If you get a long-term illness, they're going to lay you off or they're going to make you inactive, and they are not going to owe you that money. I mean, how are we not replacing all the group insurance that's out there? What are we really talking about here? You know, everything now, if you notice, it's all subscription based. Everybody, if you even want to read, if you read Apple News and then you click on it, it's called a paywall. They want you to pay $7 a month so you can read that. So everything is subscription. People are spending so much money. You don't think having a subscription to be the protector of your family is important? You're paying $7 a paycheck at your job. Our insurance is $80 a month. The difference between 2 times 7, 14, and 80, is it really that big of a difference to make, to give you that peace of mind, to be able to protect your family? That's what you got to, that's the way you got to think of it. But if you think about it as, man, theirs is so cheap, they're paying 14, I'm telling them to pay 80. Again, it's your mindset going in. We used to say about group insurance, what if you leave? What if you get laid off? What if you get sick? What if they cancel a benefit? There's too many what ifs. Group insurance doesn't cover enough of the what ifs. We got to have all the what ifs covered. That only happens with private insurance. Cash value is a wealth stealer. That's what I tell my clients. It's stealing your wealth. People overpay for this type of life insurance. By 3, 4, 5, 10 times. They put all this extra money in it. And at the end of the day, best case scenario, you have just what you put in. But what if we had invested all that money? How many hundreds of thousands of dollars more could it have become? It is stealing people's wealth. When other companies do that, when other financial advisors do that, they are stealing the client's wealth. I was reading in a book the other day that one of the predominant forces of influence, the book is called Influence, is when people are the same race as you. And it was talking about in the book that 80% of financial crimes exist between two people of the same race. So if you're coming from a different community, chances are this is what's happening in your community. We teach people, how much do I need and how long do you need it for? Even if you understand insurance, how did you come up with this number? How many people do we meet that have 100,000 in life insurance? Like, you never thought to yourself for a second, how long is 100 grand going to last my family? How did you come up with that number? We're going to help you calculate how much you need. And then how long do you need it for? How many times we met people, they have a 10-year term and they're 30 years old. Did you think your financial responsibilities to your family were over after 10 years? Retirement. And sometimes I show this slide because our presentation, it's heavy on insurance on the front end. But a lot of my money's made on retirement. Sometimes I gotta bring up these topics, right? So I can flash this slide, right? Here's what we do in retirement. We know what it takes. We want you to know what it takes to get on track for retirement. I get it, you have a retirement plan or a retirement product, but do you have a retirement plan? I understand you contribute to your 401k and you're getting a match, but where is that going to lead you to? At a 3% contribution where they are matching 3% and you're 45 and you want to retire at 60, 65, what's this number going to become? We can help our clients create those projections. Understand taxation in retirement. Do you know that some parts of your retirement income will be taxed, but there's some parts where you can avoid the tax, like a Roth IRA. If you don't have access to a Roth IRA, let's see if your job has a Roth 401k where there's no income limit. Maybe that's something you want to do. Implement a diversified, low-cost, long-term approach built on managed mutual funds with an advisor. So this in itself is an entire meeting if I wanted it to be. You could just say that. Say, I'm not licensed in this, but this is one of the things that we do. We can set you up with one of our trainers, one of our lead advisors, whatever you want to call it, and they will help you with this. Because what are people doing? They're not diversified, they're focused. Hey, there's some times where focus can make you rich, but it can also lead to losing a lot of your money. Anybody heard of Peloton?
Yeah.
Right? Anyone know how much their stock is down right now? 80%. So it might be more now. I know a guy who at his job, right? One of my friends at his job, he was like, yeah, my coworker, and they were telling me that he was riding it the whole way down, right? So he was up 200-300% on it, and he had 100 grand in there. He had put 100,000 of his own money, and now he's at 20. So, and that's not the only thing. There's tons of these types of companies that are out there right now, right? So people are not diversified. What about low cost? People have investment accounts with brand name brokerages. Oh, he's with Morgan Stanley. He's with Merrill Lynch. He's with such and such. By the way, Merrill Lynch is now just Bank of America. Yeah. They're getting rid of the Merrill Lynch name. So you're working for me. And they have, right? Because they have that name on the statement, they're paying a high cost. We believe in low cost. We have some costs, but it's a low cost. Long-term approach. People's funds are being reallocated every week, right? Every month, every year. That's not a long-term approach. A long-term approach is a good all-weather buy and hold strategy. Why is your money switching around so much? On managed mutual funds, people use index funds. You've heard about that. Index funds have been doing well, but the question is, have they had their run? Are things going to revert back to the mean? Are they too concentrated among just a few stocks? If those stocks don't do well, what's going to happen to people's investments, right? With an advisor, I talked about this last week. One of my clients, she called me. She makes 800 grand as a realtor. Her now fiance, who I've recently met, who just came in the picture, he runs a business where he makes 500,000-600,000. So this is a client whose income is 1.5 million. These are smart people. They have a lot of assets. And she called me and she told me, I'm not leaving you. Okay, I would never do that, but I want you to liquidate all my positions and go into cash because I don't know what's happening with this administration, which is the Biden administration. Okay, and I said, you're not doing that. It's okay. Let's ride it out. I understand there's things to be nervous about. Here are the things to be optimistic about. And since that day, even with the recent losses that we've had, she's probably up 35% from that conversation. Now, if she has, let's say, 800,000 with me, that's $250,000 I saved her from one conversation, and people don't have an advisor and they think they can do it on their own. You're right. Some index funds, you will do fine. The question is, are you going to stay in it? The statistics are that the index funds do well, but the people that are investing in them are getting out and getting in because they don't have anybody to call and have that conversation. You think you can call an 800 number and they're going to rationalize that? The 800 number, Vanguard, Fidelity, Schwab, everything, they're order takers. Yes, ma'am. We'll go ahead and move everything in cash. So what is that worth? Okay. I saved you $250,000 on one conversation. You think she's ever going to say anything to me on my 2% one-time upfront fee? We want to consolidate all the 401ks into one IRA. I showed this to someone the other day. I said, yeah, this is one of the things that I do. And right away, he's like, oh, I've moved around jobs. I have 4 of them. I need to consolidate it into one. No presenting, nothing. We always want to move our money. Anyone in here, anyone that you know, anyone that you're setting appointments with, anyone who's left a job recently, you got to ask them, have you rolled over your 401k? When you leave a job, right, if you switch companies, what do you take with you? Don't people I haven't worked corporate America, but don't they get like a shoebox or whatever? They take everything, they put it in there, right? Then you walk out. Sometimes they have security walk you out, right? They escort you down because they laid you off or whatever. And people take everything, but they leave the most important thing there, which is their money. Why would you leave your money? So we want to put it into an IRA where we can manage, your name is on it, better options, better return. And we can also, this kind of gets the client to perk up, explore accounts with guarantees and downside protection. So once a client reaches age 45, we have a different product suite available to them that offers guarantees and downside protection. Not like a CD, high-powered investment accounts that also have downside protection, very rare. And then we have other concerns, right? I don't really get into this like on a slide or whatever, but I do have conversations about this, college savings plans. Maybe that gets you in the door. People get in the door with college savings because a lot of parents have this concern. How much is college going to cost 20 years from now? God knows. Even if it's the same as right now, how much does college cost? 4 years of normal university. What do you think it costs?
At least 50 grand.
50 grand for 4 years?
20 per year.
20 per year. And then there's those people, they got to go to certain schools, do certain, right? 30 grand a year, 40 grand a year, 50 grand a year, 60 grand a year. So would it be smart to start saving now? If you take $200 a month and you put in a college savings plan, that's $2,400. And then if you do that for 20 years, what is that? 50 grand? That's with no interest. But in an investment account, it's going to be over 100 grand. The point of a college savings account is what? We want the interest to pay, so you don't have to pay. If I only put in 50, but my account is worth 120, 130,000, now the interest is paying the college. And by the way, all that interest is tax-free. That's what I explain to the client. You can't just save for college, you have to invest for college. And the longer time you have, the more chances we have to have interest paid for the college. And then of course we have debt elimination strategies as well. If you have some credit card debt, now we can do mortgages, we can roll debt into mortgages, we can do refinances. We have software where we can take all the debt, put it in and show you the most efficient way to pay off the debt. We'll give you a debt freedom date. You'll know exactly when you're out of debt. I don't talk about this stuff a lot with my clients, but you know, there's people out there, some of you guys are in these markets where this is a problem for a lot of people, and we have the tools to help them with that. So what's the point of me doing this training? Number one, to kind of educate you guys on the way I talk about things and my attitude towards all these things, but it's also to remind you why we set appointments. It's also to remind you that there's so many different things that we do. It's impossible that someone is not going to be interested or at least in need. Doesn't mean they're going to go forward with us, but there's got to be something that we can help them with, some area, all these different things. It's very rare, if not ever, that we sit down with someone and they have all of these things lined up, right? And people say things, right? People, you know, I did an appointment the other day and you know, the wife was like, yeah, my mom is a certified financial planner. Oh, okay, great. So you already know this stuff. But she was in a different country. And they actually didn't have any financial products, right? So people will say things to you, right? To kind of almost posture themselves a certain way or to kind of intimidate or make it seem, right? But at the end of the day, man, very few people, very, very, very few people have their ducks in a row when it comes to this stuff. So again, we're going to go and we're going to set appointments now after training, but you got to ask yourself, right? If someone says no to me, I mean, should we feel bad for ourselves or should we feel bad for them? I mean, maybe we could have helped them save half on their insurance. Maybe we could have put an extra $500,000 in their retirement. Maybe we could have been their advisor and we could have saved them from liquidating that one time and saving them $250,000. There's so many different ways to look at it, right? So remember, we are doing them a bigger favor than they are doing for us. Yes, we're asking for a favor, but they're going to get more out of it in the end than we are. All that information. Okay. All right. So we can turn off the Zoom, guys. Appreciate you.